Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of chair yoga for legs. This is really good if you're in an office situation, you want to stretch your legs out. If you're a bit less mobile in the legs and you want to get a good stretch. If you're just feeling like you want to do some yoga but you're just too tired to stand up. It's very good for seniors as well. Keep the energy flowing in the joints of the knees and the hips. I've got a normal chair, which is kind of my height so that I can sit on it with my hips and my knees more or less in level, in line with each other. My hips are slightly higher than my knees and my feet can really push down onto the floor. So if I was on a chair that was slightly higher, I'd probably want a block under my feet. I really want to feel that connection going down through the hips, the knees and the heels. With me, I've got a trusty bolster. I've also got a belt. You can use you could use a tie or a long sock. And I've got one of these kind of soft blocks. And they're going to come in handy from time to time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit forward on my chair so that my sitting bones are right at the edge of the chair. I'm not going to fall off. I've always got the sides of the chair to hold onto to feel stable. I'm going to have about 2 fists in between my knees. I'm going to have my heels under my knees and my feet nice and spread out. And I'm going to find the stability by pressing down on my feet, really feeling that pressing down. It's almost like the feet press down and forwards. This activates the fronts of the thighs. And then I can really move the flesh a little bit and really feel the sitting bones pressing down on my seat. So everything's active. I can lift my toes, separate them, and we spread out the balls of the feet. Roll the shoulders back so I'm nice and upright. I've got a nice curve in my lower back. I'm going to draw my throat back just to lengthen the curve of my neck. I'm going to really feel that my crown is reaching up as my sitting bones and feet reach down. So this two-way energetic lengthening of the body. Nice, strong, active thighs. And I'm just going to start by taking my right foot and stretching it out, letting the heel rest on the floor and just scrunching the toes and stretching them. Take some deep breaths. Make sure that your upper body's nice and open. You can wriggle your shoulders. You can just be moving the joints of the toes while you take some deep breaths and align yourself upright. And then keeping the toes spread and the ball of the foot pushing forward and the toes pulling back. Press down on this. This is my left foot. It's pressing down on the floor. My left hand is going to press down on the thigh. I'm going to keep my chest lifted and moving forward. And I'm going to slide my right hand down the leg and then slide it back up. I'm just going to do this a few times. Exhaling, I'm going to slide down. It's like my tailbone's coming out of the back of the body while the chest moves forward. So the spine is nice and straight. And inhaling, sliding back up. And I'm pressing down on this other leg so that I've got stability and I don't feel like I'm going to fall off my chair. Breathing in, slide it back up. And let's do 2 more. Exhale. Doesn't matter how far you get to. Inhale. And last one. Very nice. And then you're going to bring that foot flat on the floor and you're going to do the same thing with the other leg. So this foot now is going to be your anchor. It's still bent, the thigh is still active, and I'm going to keep my right hand on that leg. And then my left toes are going to scrunch and widen while I just activate the joints. I'm going to make sure that I'm sitting up nice and straight, my chest is open, and my sitting bones are pressing down. So I'm just going to take some breaths. Remember to come back to my breathing. And then same thing, I'm going to keep the sitting bones pressing down, pubic bone tipping forward, tailbone reaching back. As I reach the chest forward, I slide the hand down the thigh as I exhale. And I slide it back as I inhale. And this other hand is pressing down so that I have this anchor and stability in that thigh and foot. Exhaling forward, inhaling back. All the time the spine is lengthened as you come down. So I'm not coming down, scrunching the spine. I'm coming down like a concertina. And it doesn't matter how far you go down, you might just be leaning forward and back. Or you might be super bendy in the back of the leg and be able to go all the way down and up. It's not a competition, it doesn't matter. You just want to feel you're lengthening the back of the tissues of the leg and buttock. And inhaling, coming back, and then we'll bring both feet flat on the floor again. So next, you can press the foot into the floor that you just worked and see if you can take hold under the thigh of that right foot. We're going to start moving the ankle. Now, if this is too much, you can get your belt and you can reach it. I'm going to have it double length. I'm going to reach it under the thigh, and I can just pull the leg up a little bit like that. And that means that maybe I'm not reaching forward and hunching, I'm holding my chest up. Whereas maybe if I took the leg, I could pick it up, but I was not really doing my back any good. So it's up to you whether you take the leg with your hands, reach the shoulders back and down, lift the chest, draw the throat back, and we'll just do ankle roll. So with or without the belt, rolling the ankle one direction and the other direction. And then you can even try and keep the thigh where it is, but see if you can get a little tiny bit of rotation of the whole of the lower leg around. There's a tiny bit of rotation in the lower leg, both directions. And then you can start to kick the leg forward and back. Now, the higher you have your leg, the more of a stretch it's going to be. It doesn't matter how far forward and up the foot goes, you're just going to move that foot forward, pull the toes back, press the ball of the foot forward, and then bring it back. Now you can also do this higher, either with the belt. The higher you do it, obviously the more of a stretch you're going to feel on the back of the leg. If you want to be really strong in the core and the leg, you can do it without the belt. Kicking the leg forward, really activating all the muscles of the front of the thigh. Again, the higher you do it, the harder it's going to be. You're using your core now because you're keeping yourself up straight. And you can also do it by taking the belt around the ball of the foot and kicking the foot up like that. So that might be, you might want that nice stretch a bit higher up, but you're unable to sustain it, but you feel like that stretch is really nice. Or it might be that you just need a little helping hand just to kick it forward. And again, have the belt as long as you want it. And just play around with a little bit of that. Let's do the other side. So we start with taking the leg under the hands, either with belt or with the hands under the thigh. We work the ankle first, ankle joint. Again, feel free to use the belt. The other foot is always your anchor. So keep pressing that other foot down into the earth so you can feel the activation of the thigh. Other way for the ankle, and then the knee. Little bit of rotation one direction and the other. And then you can start having a little play into moving that leg forward and back. You can try it higher. You can try it lower without the leg, without the hands holding it. And you can also try stretching the belt over the ball of the foot, pushing into the belt. Maybe lifting it up a little bit, bending it, maybe lifting it up a little bit, just to have fun, you know. If it's not fun, what's the point? And then hopefully you feel quite a good stretch. Let's just find the sitting mountain again. Just moving the flesh so you can feel the sitting bones, pressing the feet into the floor so you can feel the activation, rolling the shoulders. And if that was quite strenuous on your back, then maybe a little bit of cat and cow while you're sitting. So this is where we extend the spine, so curve it back in a C shape behind us, and then curl it forward in a C shape in front of us. So you're just rolling the pubic bone down, opening the chest, head up, and then rolling the tailbone down, opening the shoulder blades, chin down. And then what we'll do is we'll turn to the side a little bit, take that left foot and bring it over to the left. So I've got my right foot facing the front and I've got my left foot facing the left. Now it might be that you're not as wide as that, but we could try to open as much as possible. And I've got the corner of the chair now between my legs, and both sitting bones I've got a perch of the chair. I'm still quite forward and my feet are pressing into the floor. So what I'm going to do is keep my right foot facing forward and my right hand on my right foot, my right leg, and I'm going to turn my chest all the way to face that left leg. So I'm already opening. I can feel a slight opening in that right inner thigh. I'm going to take my left hand onto my shoulder and draw my shoulder back behind me. So left shoulder to the back, chest to the left, and right foot to the right. So we're kind of really stretching and opening. And then I'm going to bring my right elbow down, still with my chest facing the left. I'm going to bring my right elbow down to my right thigh, take my left hand up to my head. Maybe it stretches up to the sky, maybe even it stretches over towards the front. So that's towards the left, towards the right foot. Don't listen to my rights and lefts. It'll work out. And then taking the hand up and then coming up. Now, of course, if that was too far down for you, feel free to bring your arm on a block and just lean into it. Okay, so let's do the other side now, with or without the block. So my left foot is facing the left, my right foot is facing the front. I'm going to keep my left hand on my left thigh, but I'm going to bring my chest to the front and my right shoulder all the way to the right. So left leg pointing left, right shoulder pointing right, chest to the front. And then I'm going to bring my hand onto my shoulder and lean my left arm onto my thigh, just the forearm, so I'm just sort of hanging out. Then I can make it stronger by bringing the hand on the head, hand up to the sky, even maybe hand all the way to the left, to where the left foot is pointing. And I can do this with the block, or I can do it without the block. And obviously the higher you are, the less intense the stretch is going to be. Okay, and then coming up and releasing. And then bringing the hands on the inside of the thighs, you're going to lean your pubic bone down and your chest forward, push your feet into the floor so there's no risk of you falling off the chair. Roll the shoulders back and down and see if you can just reach forward a little bit. If you've got your block, if your feet are pressing really strongly on the floor, then you may be able to take your block in your hands. But if your feet aren't really active, then when you put all your weight onto the block, it might not be stable. So make sure your feet are pressing down and forward. If you're coming forward enough to maybe take hold of the block on its highest setting, you can use the block then to roll the shoulders back and down, really reach the pubic bone down, and maybe you'll come down even lower. You don't need to take the head lower than the heart, just have a good stretch, roll the shoulders back, or maybe you can take your elbows out and just drop your heart into your hands. All the time pressing your feet into the floor, pressing the knees open away from each other. And then coming back, maybe coming back in reverse so that you can get the activation into the feet so you can press down to come up. Okay, lovely. So I'm now going to have my block on top of my bolster. My bolster is across my chair. I'm going to sit sideways on the chair with my right buttock hanging off the chair. So, and I'm right on the side edge of the chair. My left foot is going to stay pressing down, and I'm going to just pop my knee onto the block. If the block's too high, I'm going to pop it onto the bolster. The point is I want my hips to be more or less straight, as in this hip is not falling down. And I'm just going to tuck the toes under onto the floor behind me. And I'm going to stretch my right arm up, have a good old stretch down that whole right side. Pressing down on that front foot, I may be able to press back into the back heel and lift the knee off the bolster. And my left hand here is holding the back of the chair, so I'm really stable. And that's a really nice high lunge. Then take my hand back to my hip, release my knee. And then I can try to take the knee further back and lift the heel to the bottom. Now as I do this, I'm tipping off the chair a little bit. My right hip is falling. So now I prefer to have my knee, my block on my knee on the block, so that my hip stays up, and I may be able to then take hold of the foot without kind of slipping. So as soon as I slip, if my knee was too far down, I wouldn't have the stability on this foot that's holding me. And with that stability, I can even let go of the chair because I'm really grounded. That front foot is my anchor. So I can take hold of the foot. I could even use a belt, the belt that I had to take hold of the foot. Or I could just practice this pose with the knee a little bit further back, because then that leg is almost straight without me having to do much. So I've just taken the knee back and given it a little bit of a higher ledge. So I'm still in that high lunge, but it's supported. Okay, and then very gently, moving the weight over to the left, bringing the feet flat to the floor. Then we'll come to the front. And I'll bring the belt with me this time so I can show you. and we'll go to the other side. So my right foot is on the floor and it's right to the right side of the right hand side of the chair, and my left buttock is falling off the chair, and I'm going to start on my bolster and just let my right foot press into the floor and my left knee just hang out on the bolster. I'm holding onto the back of the chair. I'm going to stretch up. I haven't got much weight on that front foot, so I know that this is hanging off a bit, so I'm going to bring my bolster, my block, and I'm going to place it underneath, and then that's much more stable. I feel like I can press into the floor with my front foot. I can tuck the toes of the back foot into the floor, and I can stretch that leg as straight as possible, and I can try that with no hands then because I'm stable on both feet. I've just got this chair nudging under my thigh, which is really useful. And then I can rest like that. I can move the block back a little bit. I'm trying to encourage my knee to go further back. I'm really stretching open. And, sorry, let's get this belt ready. So I've got my knee stretching further back, and I can practice bending the knee, taking hold of the foot and the hand. I can experiment with flexing and pointing, seeing how that feels. I can experiment with being able to leave the chair with my other hand if I'm stable on this front foot. If not, don't leave it behind. And I can experiment with hooking my back foot and holding it. I could even experiment with taking the arm up and having a good old stretch in the chest as well. And if I was really super balanced on that front foot, I could even take the belt with both hands. And that's a bigger story that you probably want to work up to. Coming out then, I'm going to just allow myself to tip over to the right, bring that foot round, and then let's finish on the front of the chair with a little bit of cat and cow again, just to release any tension in the lower back. So when we're opening those fronts of the hips there, you've got a tendency to have quite a lot of tension in the lower back. So we can finish by just coming forward, maybe into a forward fold, however you feel comfortable, just to release the lower back. Maybe you have a block, maybe you even have a bolster over your belly. Bring it into you so you can lift the belly up and over, and you can just hang out over the bolster. And then coming up when you're ready. So if you're doing this at work, you have to take your bolster to work. Now you can find, maybe you get one of your colleagues to be your bolster and you just roll over them. You'll work it out. Practice and see what happens. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much.